Students, now let's take next question. If you observe in this question, again we want to find the centroid of the composite shape. Now look at the composite shape that is given to us. Here you can see that there is a rectangle, isn't it? You can see a rectangle. Then you can see a semicircle also. Then you have a quarter circle which has been removed from the composite shape. And you can see a triangle. Now students, what is different in this question and the question that we have taken previously? In the previous question, if you observed, the entire diagram, the entire composite shape that was given to us was present only in the first quadrant. But look at this particular diagram. If you observe here, there are some standard shapes which are in the second and the fourth quadrant. Observe carefully. Look at this triangle. If you take a look at the x-axis, the y-axis, obviously this point O is the origin. So this becomes your first quadrant, and in the first quadrant you can see there is a rectangle and the quarter circle. But what can you observe about the triangle and the semicircle? You can see that the triangle is in the second quadrant, isn't it? The triangle is in the second quadrant, whereas the semicircle is in the fourth quadrant. So this becomes a very important question and concept, students. Whenever the standard shapes move into second, third or fourth quadrant, what will happen to their centroids? Obviously, if the standard shape is in the second, third or the fourth quadrant, then the centroids of these standard shapes will also fall into the respective quadrants. That means if you observe for the triangle, I can see that it is in the second quadrant. That means the centroid of this triangle will also lie in the second quadrant. And now if the centroid lies in the second quadrant, what happens to the x and the y coordinate? You know that in second quadrant the x coordinate is negative, whereas the y coordinate is positive. That means, students, for this particular triangle, when you write the coordinates of the centroid, the x coordinate is going to be negative and the y coordinate is going to be positive. So this is a very important information you should always have with you. Likewise, students, when you go for the semicircle, you can see that the semicircle is in the fourth quadrant, isn't it? Now what happens in the fourth quadrant? What can you say about the coordinates of a point in the fourth quadrant? You know that the x coordinate is positive and the y coordinate is going to become negative. That means now when you talk about the semicircle centroid, you can definitely say that the x coordinate is going to be positive and the y coordinate is going to be negative. So these concepts should always be remembered while solving questions on centroid. You need to exactly pinpoint, you need to exactly locate where the centroid is lying, which quadrant it is lying, and accordingly you need to write the coordinates of the centroid. So students, we are going to now begin with this particular question. Again, we are going to break the entire composite shape into standard shapes. You can easily identify that there are 4 standard shapes over here. There is a rectangle, there is a semicircle, there is a quarter circle, and then there is a triangle. And also you can observe that the shaded region that you can see in the diagram does not contain the quarter circle. That means out of the entire composite shape, you will be removing the quarter circle. That means the area of the quarter circle will be taken negative when we actually go for finding x bar and y bar for the entire composite shape. So students, let's begin with the very first diagram. Here obviously I'm going to start with the most simplest one, that is a rectangle, and I can observe that the rectangle is lying in the first quadrant, isn't it? So let's begin with the very first diagram, students. I have the first diagram, which is a rectangle, isn't it? It's a rectangle. So I draw the diagram here, draw the original x and y axis, and with respect to this x and y axis, what is the position of the rectangle you should be showing over here, isn't it? Draw the diagram exactly as it is looking in the original diagram. So you can observe that the rectangle is sharing its adjacent sides with the x and the y axis, isn't it? So I'll be drawing the rectangle over here. So let's draw the rectangle. So this is the rectangle. I know that a rectangle is a symmetric diagram, isn't it? First, to tell me what are the dimensions of this rectangle, you can observe that the semicircle has radius 25 and this line is the diameter of the semicircle. So this diameter is nothing but one of the adjacent sides of the rectangle. So it is going to be 50, isn't it? The diameter is going to be 50 because the radius is 25. So I can very easily say that the width which is denoted by B, it is given how much? It is 50, isn't it? So width is 50. And students, what can you say about the depth? So you can observe in the diagram, the depth is 60 plus 30, that becomes 90. So I can say the depth is 90. It is denoted by D. If you recall, now you can definitely say that this particular diagram, the rectangle, is a symmetric shape, isn't it? It has a line of symmetry in the horizontal direction as well as in the vertical direction. So these lines are the lines of symmetry. So this becomes a centroid. I will call it as G1 because it's the first diagram. So you can draw the line of symmetry over here. So let's draw the line of symmetry very quickly. Now, once you have drawn the line of symmetry and the centroid is located, you need to find the position of the centroid with respect to the y-axis. That becomes x bar, and with respect to the x-axis, that becomes y bar. So this is the centroid over here, this is the y-axis. So the distance of the centroid from the y-axis becomes x bar. So I'm going to call this as x1 bar because this is the first centroid. So x1 bar. Likewise, students, its distance from the x-axis becomes y1 bar. So there is x1 bar and then there is y1 bar. Now you can easily identify that x1 bar is going to be half of this b. So this is b upon 2. Whereas this y1 bar is going to be half of d. So this distance is going to be d upon 2. So I've got x1 bar, I've got y1 bar. So very quickly I'm going to first write what? I'm going to write the area, isn't it? So a1, it is b into d because it's a rectangle. So you just need to multiply the width and the depth. So that is going to be 50 into 90. If you want, you can simplify. It's 9 5s are 45 and then 2 zeros. So that becomes 4500 unit square, isn't it? Now, no units has been mentioned in the question. It is not given in millimeters, centimeters, kilometers. Nothing is mentioned. So you can leave this particular area as it is. There is no need to put the unit. Even if you want to put anything, you can just write unit square, whatever the units are. So A1 is 4500 unit square. Now students, tell me what is x1 bar. So you can very easily tell me that x1 bar is going to be b upon 2 and b is how much? It is 50. So you write 50 upon 2, that is 25 units. So that's x1 bar. And now students, let's get y1 bar also. So I can say y1 bar is going to be d upon 2, which is 90 upon 2, or I get 45 unit, isn't it? So I've got A1, I've got x1 bar and I've got y1 bar for the very first diagram, which is a rectangle. Now students, you need to be very careful for the other standard shapes. Now let's take the right angle triangle now. I'm going to take the right angle triangle now. So if you observe that the right angle triangle, its exact location is very important. It is present in the second quadrant and you can observe that it is 60 units above the x-axis, isn't it? It is 60 units above the x-axis. So whenever you are drawing the diagram, make sure that you draw the diagrams appropriately. The dimensions might not be exact, but the diagram has to be appropriate. So students, I'm going to take the second diagram, which is the right angled triangle, isn't it? So let's take a right angled triangle. Now, let's first of all draw the exact position. So I know it is in the second quadrant. So let's take the second quadrant. I take the x-axis and the y-axis, isn't it? So this is 60 mm above and then this is 45. So let's draw the diagram very properly. So this is what the triangle is, isn't it? This is the position of the triangle. And I know that this distance the distance of the right angle triangle from the x-axis is given to us as 60. One of its perpendicular sides has length 30, isn't it? One of the perpendicular side has a length 30 and the other perpendicular side has length 45. So this length over here, you can see it is given to us as 45. Now, don't we recall that for a right angular triangle, the centroid is always at 1/3 distances from the perpendicular sides. So these are the two perpendicular sides, isn't it? Now, I know that the centroid is going to lie at a distance of 1/3 from both the perpendicular sides. So let's take this perpendicular side first. Let's draw a line parallel to it, isn't it? Such that it is at 1/3 distance, isn't it? This entire length is 45. So you want to take 1/3 distance of it and you need to draw a parallel line to this perpendicular side. Likewise, students, take this distance 30 and it's 1/3 distance. You draw another parallel line to the other perpendicular sides. So you simply need to remember the concept rather than remembering the formulas of the centroids. You always remember that the centroid for a right angle triangle always lies at 1/3 distances of the perpendicular sides. So locate the perpendicular sides and you simply draw parallel lines to the perpendicular sides such that they are at a distance of 1/3 of the perpendicular side. So now you can say, let us call this 30 as B. I'm going to call this 30 as B and this 45 as H, isn't it? So I can very easily understand that the distance over here, this distance is going to be 1/3. That means it is going to be H/3, isn't it? So this distance is going to be H/3, whereas this distance is going to be B/3. So let's look at the centroid. So that's G2. That's G2, isn't it? Now you can observe that the centroid is at what distances from the y-axis and the x-axis. These distances will become the x and the y coordinate of the centroid. So that's G2 here, students, isn't it? So observe carefully the distance of the centroid from the y-axis, isn't it? So that's G2. This is the distance of the centroid from the y-axis. It is going to be x2 bar. The distance of the centroid from the y-axis, but you have to be very careful. x2 bar is going to come negative because your centroid is lying in the second quadrant, and second quadrant, the x coordinate should be negative, isn't it? So here it is x2 bar, and then students, the distance of the same centroid from the x-axis becomes y2 bar. So there is x2 bar, isn't it? And then there is y2 bar. Now observe carefully. Is x2 bar same as h/3? So x2 bar is definitely going to be h/3. But look at y2 bar. y2 bar is not b/3. The total distance is 90. So you need to do the subtraction of b/3 from 90. So 90 minus b/3 will become y2 bar. So you've got to be very careful. Even though I know that the coordinates of the centroid is h/3 and b/3, but it is not necessary that it will become the values of the centroid also. You should always get the distance of the centroid from the original x and the y axis. So now students, I'm going to first write the area. So let's write area. So I'm going to write area. So that's A2. I know it is half into the product of perpendicular sides, isn't it? Half into product of perpendicular sides. So I get here 1/2 into, what's the perpendicular side over here? It is 45 and 30. So I can write here 1/2 45 into, then the next perpendicular side is 30. So you can easily cancel 30 and 2. So that's 15. So you can leave the answer as it is. So that's 45 into 15. Again, students, it is not necessary to simplify this particular value. You can leave the answer here itself. So that's 45 into 50. I will write unit square because that's the area, isn't it? Now let's move on to writing the x2 bar. So I'm going to write x2 bar here. So x2 bar is going to be same as h/3. It is same as h upon 3. So what's the value of h? It is 45. So I write here 45 upon 3, which comes out to be 50 units, isn't it? So that's x2 bar. And now let's get y2 bar also. It is going to be how much? It is not b upon 3, isn't it? It is going to be 90 minus b upon 3. So I write here 90 minus b upon 3. So I know that b is 30 here, so that becomes 30 upon 3. So 90 minus 30 upon 3, which simply comes out to be how much? 30 upon 3, that's 10. 90 minus 10, that becomes 80 units. So students, I've got x2 bar, y2 bar and a2 also. Now, can you notice what mistake I have done over here? You got to understand this thing very carefully. This is the most important part of the question. You can observe x2 bar. x2 bar is h upon 3, 45 upon 3, 15. Is it correct or is it wrong? Students, x2 bar, which I have written 15 units, is magnitudely correct. The value is magnitudely correct, but with respect to sign, it is not correct, isn't it? Because I know that the centroid is lying in which quadrant? It is lying in the second quadrant. That means its coordinate has to be negative. So students, I'm going to put a negative sign over here. So x2 bar, I'm going to say it is minus of h upon 3, minus of 45 upon 3 and minus 15 units. So this is very, very important. The sign, students, you got to understand that you have to always take care of the signs of the coordinates of the centroids. You need to see where the centroids are actually lying. So that was a right angle triangle. We have seen the second standard shape, isn't it? Now we need to proceed ahead with the third standard shape, students. Now what is the third standard shape? You can observe here, you can take the third standard shape as the semicircle. Now what is the location of the semicircle? Students, the semicircle is in the fourth quadrant, isn't it? So let's draw the diagram first of all. So the third standard shape I'm going to take is a semicircle. Now for this semicircle, I can observe that it is in the fourth quadrant. So I'm going to draw the diagram accordingly. So let's draw the fourth quadrant. So there is x-axis, then there is this y-axis, and you can observe that the diameter of the semicircle is lying on the x-axis directly, isn't it? And the semicircle starts from the origin itself. So I can very easily draw a semicircle over here with its diameter on the x-axis. So that's the semicircle students have drawn. Now, you can easily remember that a semicircle is a symmetric diagram, isn't it? It's a symmetric diagram. So that's our origin O, that's x-axis, y-axis, and this is the line of symmetry, isn't it? This is the line of symmetry. We all know that the centroid of a semicircle is definitely going to lie on the line of symmetry, isn't it? It lies on the line of symmetry and it is at a distance of 4r upon 3 pi from the diameter of the semicircle. So I know that this is the diameter, isn't it? And how much is the diameter? It is 50 because the radius is 25. So diameter is 50 I have taken. So let's locate the centroid also very quickly. So I can see that the centroid, say G3, will be at a distance of 4r upon 3 pi, isn't it? It is at a distance of 4r upon 3 pi from the diameter of the semicircle. Now that's the location of the centroid. You need to remember, this is which quadrant? It is the fourth quadrant. What happens in the fourth quadrant? In the fourth quadrant, the x coordinate is positive and the y coordinate is negative. So students, now let's locate the centroid. I need to get the distance of the centroid from the respective axis, the y-axis and the x-axis. The distance from the y-axis becomes what? The distance from the y-axis becomes x bar. The distance from the y-axis becomes x bar, and students, the distance from the x-axis becomes y bar. Now, the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to write the area. So let's write the area very quickly. So I'm going to write here A3. It is going to be a semicircle. So pi r square upon 2. What's the radius, students? What's the radius here? Radius is 25. So I write here pi into 25 square upon 2, which on simplification gives me 625 pi upon 2, and I can write unit square. So that's A3, isn't it? So let's now very quickly write x3 bar. Observe what is x3 bar. x3 bar is nothing but the radius of the circle, isn't it? So that's the center. So this is the radius. So can I say x3 bar is nothing but r, which is the radius, and how much is the value of the radius? It is 25. So r is 25 over here, and then you take y3 bar. So you can observe that y3 bar is simply 4r upon 3 pi, isn't it? So I'm going to write here y3 bar is 4r upon 3 pi. What's the radius, students? Radius is how much? It is 25. So 4 into 25 upon 3 pi. So the answer simply comes 100 upon 3 pi. You can tell the units as unit over here. Now again, students, you got to remember this very properly. The centroid is in the fourth quadrant, so x coordinate is definitely positive. But what about the y coordinate? The y coordinate is going to be negative, so it is minus 4r upon 3 pi, minus 4 into 25 upon 3 pi, so that becomes minus of 100 upon 3 pi. So this is a very important information you should always be having. So y3 bar is minus of 100 upon 3 pi here. That's the semicircle. Now there is only one standard shape that is left, and that standard shape is the quarter circle, isn't it? So let's draw the quarter circle now. Again, as I said, it is not the dimension that you need to observe over here. It is not an exact diagram. Since the radius is 3 here, it is a very small quarter circle. But compared to this 30 or 45 or any other dimension, I've shown 3 slightly large, isn't it? So it is just there for the sake of understanding. You need to know what the diagram should look like. Now here, again, I'm going to draw the quarter circle at the exact position where it should be. You can observe that this particular point is the center of the quarter circle, which is at a distance of what? This is how much? 50, isn't it? And this is 90. So this center of the quarter circle actually has what x coordinate? X coordinate is 50 and the y coordinate is 90. So I'm going to draw the last standard shape, students. Now that's quarter circle. So the fourth one is a quarter circle. So students, I take the x-axis and the y-axis, isn't it? Now again, I'm going to tell you that the diagram is not according to the dimension. We need to just understand the diagram. It has to be an appropriate diagram. So the diagram is not according to scale. So I'm going to locate first of all the center of the quarter circle. That's the center. Its coordinates were 50 and 90, isn't it? 50, 90 were the coordinates of the center. So let's draw the quarter circle whose radius is how much? This is the quarter circle and its radius is 3. The radius of this quarter circle is given to us as 3. So let's locate the radius. Let's write the radius. That's 3, isn't it? Now you tell me, where is the centroid? Students, you can easily observe that the quarter circle is in the first quadrant. So definitely the centroid is also going to lie in the first quadrant. Now students, it is always at a distance of 4r upon 3 pi from the radii of the quarter circle. You can easily observe that this side and this side are the radii, isn't it? So I can say that the centroid is definitely going to lie at a distance of 4r upon 3 pi. So that's G4, isn't it? So first of all, you tell me the distance from the radius. This is the radius, isn't it? That's the radius. So from the radius, the distance is going to be 4r upon 3 pi. So again, this is the radius. So its distance is going to be 4r upon 3 pi. So you got to understand now, this is very important. I know that the centroid for a quarter circle is always at a distance of 4r upon 3 pi from the radius of the quarter circle. But is it x bar and y bar, students? Now you got to understand that x bar and y bar are the distances from where? The original y axis and the original x axis, isn't it? So the distance from the y axis will be taken as x bar, so that's x4 bar, and its distance from the x axis will be taken as the y coordinate. So we can easily observe that x bar is not 4r upon 3 pi. It is going to be 50 minus 4r upon 3 pi. So students, very first, what I'll do here, I'm going to write the area. So let's write the area here. So I'm going to write here A4. It's a quarter circle. So it is going to be pi r square upon 4, isn't it? So pi r square upon 4. So what's the radius here? I know radius is 3, isn't it? Radius is 3. So it becomes pi into 3 square upon 4, or I can simply write the answer as 9 pi upon 4 unit square, isn't it? So 3 square is 9, so it becomes simply 9 pi upon 4 unit square. That is the area. Similarly, now let's very quickly get x4 bar and y4 bar. Here you don't have to worry about the signs because you know that the centroid is lying in the first quadrant. So absolutely no need to worry about the sign. Both of them are going to be positive. So let's take x4 bar, students. x4 bar is going to be what? It is going to be the total length. What is the total length here? It is 50, isn't it? So you need to subtract 4r upon 3 pi from 50. So I get x4 bar as 50 minus 4r upon 3 pi. So I get here, radius is how much? Radius is 3. So I simply get my value as 50 minus 4, r is 3 upon 3 pi. You can easily understand that the 3 and the 3 will get cancelled and you will be left with 50 minus 4 upon pi. I'm going to get this answer, students. Always remember, as far as possible, try to keep the answers in the simplified form. Now, if you take 50 minus 4 upon pi, you can definitely leave the answer as it is, but it will be more wise to get the answer of 50 minus 4 upon pi. It becomes very convenient to write the final calculation. So I'm going to get the answer for this one in a moment. So that's x4 bar. And students, what about y4 bar? It is going to be what? It is going to be total distance is 90, isn't it? I know the total distance here. This distance is 90, and I knew that this total distance was 50. So I'm going to get y4 bar here. It is going to be 90 minus 4r upon 3 pi. So I write here 90 minus 4r upon 3 pi. I know again the radius is 3, isn't it? The value of the radius is 3. So the 3 and 3 cancels. Isn't it? 3 and 3 cancel. So I've got the answer as 90 minus 4 upon pi. So here also, students, I'm going to get the value of y4 bar. So students, so far what have we done? So far we have got the positions of the centroids of all the standard shapes, and you should be always remembering you need to locate the centroid in the exact quadrant where it is, because then accordingly the signs of the x and the y coordinates are going to get decided. Now students, once I've got the coordinates and areas of all the standard shapes, now I can proceed to find the centroid of the composite shape. So students, let's now begin with the formula. We remember the formula is what? X bar is equal to summation of ai into xi upon summation of ai, and y bar is going to be summation of ai into yi upon summation of ai. So students, now let's write these formulas. Students, we know that the formula for finding the centroid of a composite shape is x bar is equal to summation of ai xi upon summation of ai, and y bar is going to be summation of ai yi upon summation of ai. Now, if you observe for both the formulas, you need summation of ai. So students, here I'm going to do some calculations. You got to observe very carefully. I'm going to find the value of summation of ai because it needs to be used for both x bar as well as as y bar. And students, before that I am also going to get the values of x4 bar and y4 bar in the simplified form. So again we will need the use of a calculator over here. So let's very quickly take the calculator and find the value of x4 bar and y4 bar. So students, x4 bar is going to be 50 minus 4 upon pi, isn't it? So I divide 4 with pi here. So I get my answer as 48.72676. So I can write my answer as 48.7268 units. So that's the value of x4 bar. And students, likewise, I need to get the value of y4 bar. It is going to be 90 minus 4 upon pi. So this time my answer comes 88.72676, which I can write 88.7268 units. Now also I have told you that I'm going to get summation of AI, isn't it? So let's get the value of summation of AI. Students, now summation of AI, when you do, you should be very careful. Whichever areas you are going to keep, the areas that you are going to keep must be positive areas, and the area that you are going to remove, the part which has been cut from the entire composite shape, its area is going to be negative. So you got to understand this thing very carefully. So my first diagram is a rectangle, so I want to keep the rectangle, I want to keep the semicircle, I want to keep the right angle triangle, but I want to remove the quarter circle. That means the area of the quarter circle will be taken as negative. So this one very important concept must always be remembered. So here I'm going to write summation of AI as what? It is going to be A1 plus A2 plus A3 and minus of A4, isn't it? So what's A1 value, students? A1 value is 4500. So I write 4500 here, then plus the value of A2, which is 45 into 15. So that's the value of A2. Then what's the value of A3, students? So A3 is going to be 625 pi divided by how much it is? It is 2, so I write 2 in the denominator, and then minus, this is very important, you need to do negative of the area because quarter circle is removed from the entire composite shape. So that's minus of 9 pi upon 4. So I write here 9 and then pi divided by 4. So I'm going to get this summation of AI. You got to be very careful. A1 plus A2 plus A3 and minus of A4. So my answer, students, comes 6149.679. So I can write my answer for the area over here as 6149.68 unit square. So students, I've got my answer for summation of AI also, and I've already told you the formula for x bar and y bar. So what's the formula for x bar that we have? We remember that x bar is going to be summation of AI into xi upon summation of AI. So I'm going to write the formula over here. It is going to be A1 into x1 plus A2 into x2 plus A3 into x3, but minus of A4 into x4. You got to be very careful. Why the negative sign has come? Because we are going to remove the quarter circle from here, and this gets divided by summation of AI, which is A1 plus A2 plus A3 minus A4. So I'll simply write here summation of AI. So students, let's put up all the values. So A1 into x1, so that's 4500 into x1 bar is 25. So I write 4500 into x1 bar, which is 25, then a plus sign, isn't it? So that's 45 into 15, isn't it? 45 into 15. So I write here 45 into 15 into what is x2 bar? You got to be very careful now. What is the value of x2 bar? It is minus 15. So you want to take the sign also here. You want to consider the sign of the coordinate also. It is minus 15. So I write here 45 into 15. That's the area into x bar is minus 15. Then plus, students, A3 into x3. So that's plus A3 is 625 pi upon 2 into x3 bar, which is 25. So I write here 625 pi upon 2 into what? The value is 25 here, so I write 25. Then obviously minus of, isn't it, the negative sign? What is A4 value? It is 9 pi upon 4. So I write here 9 pi upon 4. This multiplies with x4 bar. So what's the value of x4 bar? It is 48.7268. So I write here 48.7268, and this entire answer gets divided by the value of summation of AI, which is 6149.68. So let's very quickly find the value over here. So I'm going to do the calculation, students. Let's do the calculation. So I have this 4500 multiply with 25. Then you have minus, be very careful, this positive multiplies with a negative sign, it becomes minus. So minus of 45 into 15 into 15. Then students, plus you have 625 pi multiplies with 25 and gets divided by 2. Then you have again minus of 9 pi upon 4. So 9 and then pi divided by 4 you need to do, but let's multiply first of all. 48.7268, isn't it? This gets divided by 4. Let's close the bracket. You get some answer. This answer gets divided by 6149.68. So my answer comes 20.58225195. I can say the answer is here 20.5822 units, isn't it? So that's the value of what? That's the value of x bar for the entire solid, isn't it? The entire composite shape that I had. So that's x bar. Let's very quickly get y bar also, students, now. So I know that the formula for y bar is going to be summation of ai into yi upon summation of ai. So let's very quickly write the values directly. So a1 into y1 bar, a1 is 25 into y1 bar is 45, isn't it? So sorry, a1 is 4500, a1 is 4500 and y1 bar is 45. So I write here 4500 into what's y1 bar? It is 45. Then plus what is a2? a2 is 45 into 15. So I write here 45 into 15 into what about y2 bar? It is 80, isn't it? So I write y2 bar as 80. So let's write here 80. Then plus what's the next area? Be very careful now. It is 625 pi upon 2. But what about y3 bar, students? y3 bar is minus of 100 upon 3 pi. You got to be very careful there. So I write here plus 625 pi upon 2. That's the area. This multiplies with minus of 100 upon 3 pi. Minus of 100 upon 3 pi, isn't it? And then finally again negative, isn't it? So minus of, because the quarter circle is removed, so its area is going to be negative. So a4 is 9 pi upon 4. So I write here 9 pi upon 4. This area gets multiplied with y4 bar. So what is the value of y4 bar? It is 88.7268. Now this entire answer needs to be divided by summation of ai, which is 6149.68. Now students, here I'm going to do this simple calculation. I'm going to cancel this pi and pi. You can observe some oral calculations can be easily done. So pi and pi I have cancelled. Now let's do the rest of the calculation. Be very careful while doing the calculations. Don't be in a hurry. Getting on all, you should be very calm, very patient while taking the calculations part. So that's 4500 multiplies with 45 plus 45 into 15 into 80. Be very careful now. This is negative sign. Getting on odd, there is a negative sign. So minus and a bracket. So that's 625. Pi and pi has cancelled. 625 into 100. 625 into 100 gets divided by 2 into 3, which can be easily done as 6. So that's my calculation for this part. Again, there is a negative sign, so be extra careful now. Minus, again, let's put a small bracket. You have 9 pi multiplied with 88.7268. This gets divided by 4. Close the bracket. You get some answer. This answer needs to be divided by 6149.68, isn't it? That's summation of AI. So the answer comes 39.91364. So I'm going to write my answer here as 39.91364 units. So students, I've got my answer, isn't it? So answer for X bar and Y bar for the entire composite shape has come how much? It has come 20.5822, the value of X coordinate, and the value of Y coordinate has come 39.91364. Students, what is the different thing you have observed in this particular question? Here in this question, we have seen that the standard shapes, if they lie in the second, third, or the fourth quadrant, the coordinates of the centroids will also change accordingly, isn't it? The signs you need to always take care of. So students, I'm very sure that you have understood this particular question, isn't it? So now let's move on with the next question.